Let me ask y'all something. Have you ever missed an opportunity, not because you weren't capable, but because you thought of it way too long? Like you sat there, you ran through every possible outcome, and you played every scenario in your head. You thought about how it could go right, but then you thought about how it could completely go left. And somewhere in the middle of all that thinking, the whole moment passed, like just gone. You didn't miss it because you weren't ready. You missed it because you were a little bit too ready in your mind. I've done that more times than I like to admit, thinking so far ahead that I forgot to take the steps right in front of me. And at some point, I really had to check myself, like really check myself. Am I being thoughtful right now? Or am I just over calculating my whole life? Welcome back to Word Forward, y'all. This is a place where we like to slow things down and make sense of all this noise together. And I'm your host, Damien J Branch, and this is EP7. So last episode, right, we talked about rumination and how your mind could get stuck replaying moments over and over, right? But today, I want to take it a little step further because sometimes it's not just about replaying the past. Sometimes it's about overthinking the whole future to the point where you don't make a move at all. And that's usually where opportunities just start slipping right through your fingertips. I realized something about myself recently, and I want to be honest about it, so I bring it here. Sometimes I think a little bit too far ahead, like way too far ahead. I start imagining outcomes that haven't even happened yet. I'll run a whole scenario into different possibilities, what someone might think, what somebody might say, how it could go wrong, and how I might look in the end. And before I even take my first step, I already lived through different versions of the outcome in my head. And by the time I come back to reality, the whole moment is gone. And that's when it hit me, right? I wasn't just thinking, I was over calculating. I over calculated the steps to the point that I missed the step. And once I saw that was happening to me, I couldn't unsee it because it made me ask a bigger question. Where else is this showing up in my life for real? Not just in my thinking, but in the way I moved around, the way I decided things, right? The way I see the entire world. That question right there, that's what shifted everything for me because I started realizing this isn't just a mindset issue. It was affecting how I approached everything, especially when it comes to building something for myself. Because when you start building, right, you start noticing the things you never saw before. You start seeing the patterns, the new systems and the structures, the rules that were always there. You just never paid attention to them. That's the moment I realized something that changed everything for me. It took me about 5 years of owning my own business to really understand how the politics to this works, right? If you want to access the systems, you have to understand the game. And when I say systems, I'm not talking about something mysterious. I'm talking about how money moves, how opportunities show up for you, and how people get access to their own success, and how you don't own yours yet. Because if you don't understand how these things work, you end up on the outside looking in, thinking it's all luck, when really it's just structure. For a long time, I used to say, I don't even want to play this game, you know? But the truth is, the system was already playing me this whole time. And I didn't even realize it was happening. I thought I was just stuck in a rut. And it's a tough realization, right? when you start seeing that you were never really outside of it, you're just unaware of how everything really works and and you can't exit strategies that you don't know exist. You never took the time to understand them. And let me break this down for you the way that I learned it, right? Not like a lecture, but just some honesty. You can't leave a situation you never studied. And a lot of us, we complain about certain things, but we never tried to understand them. That's just emotional cardio. That's like being mad at a game that you never learned how to play yet, right? Or picking up a controller, not knowing the buttons for real, and then blaming the game when you lose. Yeah, you'll be frustrated. You'll be tired. You'll say everything's unfair. But you never sat down and asked, what are these rules that I'm actually playing under? So you're burning up all your good energy, but you're not getting anywhere. Like imagine someone wants to start a business, right? But they spend the next 6 months researching logos and loans instead of making their first sale. That's not strategy. That's avoidance dressed up as preparation. Money? Money is a language, right? And if you don't speak it correctly, you're always going to depend on the people who do. That's why some people can make one move and then make more in a month than someone working an entire year. Not because they're smarter than you, right? It's because they understand how the money moves. Structure isn't really oppression. Ignorance of the structure is, because you don't understand how things are set up. Everything just starts to feel like it's against you. The jobs you're able to find, they feel unfair for you. The money, it seems like it's always limited to you. Opportunities just feel random at best. And once you understand the game, though, you stop taking everything personal, right? And you start moving with intention. This one thing right here, though, this one hit me like a brick. Ego, it wants to burn everything down. Wisdom wants you to own it. And learning the game doesn't mean that you're selling out, right? It means that you're positioning yourself to create a better life for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the part that people don't talk about, though. Freedom isn't a loud thing all the time, right? People think freedom is expensive cars or extravagant trips, just plain old showing off. But real freedom, it's peace. It's not stressing every single month. It's not always the flashy lifestyle. It's not always celebrations. Sometimes freedom is just quiet. It looks like stability. It looks like assets. It looks like leverage, like options. And nobody claps for that part for real. Nobody sees that part being built, right? But that's the part that actually matters in life. Sometimes true freedom looks like being able to just breathe, being able to say no without fear. That's the freedom that people don't really post online, but that's the freedom that everybody wants to own. Once I understood that part of it, my mindset, it shifted again because I realized I never wanted to just build something where I'm the only one winning. That was never my goal, to be honest. I don't want to use people as a staircase to my own success. I want to build something where everybody can win, where growth, it spreads through communities, where opportunity spreads, where if one person can grow, then someone else could rise with them. I mean, look at where we are now. We're in a time where everything is just moving fast, right? Where people don't want to wait anymore. If you don't give them the answers real quick, they'll go and find them somewhere else. Information is everywhere now. You can learn just about anything in seconds, but that's also a huge problem because now you don't know what's real and what just sounds good. And when you build your own life off of information that's not solid, you could end up moving in the wrong direction with full confidence. And that's dangerous because you think you're doing the right thing. But if something is built on truth, it can guide you in the right direction. If it's built on opinion and assumption and absolute noise, then you're learning from something that was never stable to begin with. And that's the part that people don't talk about enough. Honestly, that's the real reason why I started all of this. Word Forward exists because truth still needs a place to live. Not a perfect conversation, not polished answers either. Just real thoughts, real accountability, real perspective. Sometimes when something hits you the way it does, it's because it was meant for you to hear it. So if there's one thing I want to leave with y'all today, is this. You don't escape those systems by complaining about them, right? You outgrow them by building beyond them. That only happens when you stop thinking about every single possible move and just finally take the step that you've been avoiding this entire time. So if this episode made you think at all today, I want you to go and share it with someone who needs it. And follow the pod on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and leave a comment. I read them all and I respond. Let's keep this conversation going too this week in the Inner Circle community. I'll leave everything in the description so you can find me. And let's keep this growing together. This is Word Forward, y'all. I'll see you on the next one.